All right, today I sit down with Izaak Young and Nate Corey. They're a couple of boys from Vermont that they get after it. They're great deer hunters. Izaak has started making the waves in Northeastern hunting with some great videos he puts out on his YouTube page, which is just youtube.com/Izaak Young, Izaak Young. Nate Corey is his best hunting buddy. They go everywhere together. They hammer the woods. They kill some great bucks. And they're only 26 years old, so they got a long ways to go in their prime here to get after some nice Northeastern bucks. They came down to hunt, shed hunt with me today, and we went out. We put on, 15 miles, somewhere between 13 and 15 miles. All of our phones said a little something different, but we definitely put on the boot miles today, and we had ourselves a really good day shed hunting, the best day I've ever had shed hunting. These guys don't find too many sheds up in Vermont where it's a lot harder, so it was a great day. We finished off at a brewery and had a couple of beers before this podcast, and as you can see, we had another one during it, but it was an all-around great day. These guys are awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do in their hunting primes coming up. Going to be giving it hell in all the Northeastern woods. So if you're a big buck, look out. This podcast, we'll get right into it now with Izaak Young and Nate Corey. All right, another episode of Hunt Suburbia, and I'm sitting here with Izaak Young and Nate. Nate, what's your last name?
Corey.
Nate Corey. We had a day today, huh, boys?
Absolutely.
Got some sheds, all these sheds on the table, except for these two spikes. I got a different day, but we had what did we get? 7?
7 of them. Yep.
Well, what'd you guys think today? Going around in the suburbs.
Like Mass.
Yeah. A little bit out of our element, but there's a lot of deer down this way for sure.
It was pretty fun, huh?
Yeah.
Izaak was going through a swamp one time. You know, me and Nate were up on this ridge looking for the match to this one. Here, found that one. We were looking for the match. Izaak was down in the swamp. All of a sudden, I see, I think 40 deer. I think it was 40 deer going through because I counted 35 in one group. And then I stopped counting. There were more coming through. And it was insane. You saw all of them.
Yeah, they're like ants.
Yeah.
They're like ants. There's definitely a pile of deer down here. It's I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah. Yeah, the closer you get to Boston, I mean, there's just deer. There's deer. It's hard to hunt them because it's hard to get legal access and all of that. But these two guys are great hunters from my home state of Vermont. Actually, not too far from where I grew up either. And you guys travel all over the place, all right? You're not doing just Vermont hunting. So where have you been this past couple of years?
Maine, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and all over Vermont.
And all, traveling. Yeah. And you go into a spot, so we're talking today, like you like to go into a spot, hunt it the first time, but like you killed, Izaak's got a great YouTube page, Izaak Young, Izaak, Izaak, so spell it that way on YouTube, it'll come right up. And he got a really big buck. What did that green score this year in Mass?
163.
On the last day, it was just a beauty. Yep. And I was like, well, dude, there's some pretty good genetics in that area. You're going to go back? And he was like, no, probably won't ever hunt it again. Yeah. So what's that about?
It's just kind of our style. We just kind of fly by the seat of our pants, and we just throw a dart at the map board, and that's just kind of.
You really have no desire just to go back to that spot?
No, I mean, we might, but it's just kind of how the magic happens for us, I guess. It's kind of how we've done it the last few years is we go into a new area, try to cut a track, we find one, we kill it.
You hunt it the best the first time.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, that's true. You definitely are going to hunt a place the best the first time you're in there.
Why do you think that? Like, what is it about?
You have no preconceived notions of deer activity, and then I think
you don't second guess yourself and shit.
Yeah.
You're not
How many times do you go in the same chunk of woods over and over and take the same route when you?
It's human nature.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Even today, going in where we shed hunted, I went a little bit different because I always go in the same way.
Right.
And today we took a little bit different swings than I normally go into that place, and we had a great day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was even thinking that just today. Like, man, I do it the same way every time.
Well, it's human nature. You get comfortable with something, And then I think a lot of times if you get comfortable hunting an area and you think you know what the deer are doing, the deer actually pattern you.
Yeah.
And then,
Then they all end up in that back swamp that you push 40 out of.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Because they pattern everybody in that place, all the walking trails,
Yep. There's some big rubs in there.
Well, it's just like that Bucky shot and all the people afterwards that talked about it and how long they've hunted it. And
Well, the people were sending game camera pictures
Right.
of it. Yeah.
when they hunted that buck for how long and nobody got it. So
Right.
just flying by the seat of your pants.
years
It's
and
the way
years.
to
Yeah,
go.
they might have been doing the same thing every day, and that buck just was not where they were hunting them.
Or they thought they knew more about the deer than
Than they
Any
actually
deer,
did.
yeah.
And I don't think a lot of guys were tracking in that piece, which I think that's crucial. I think
Yeah.
tracking that buck, I don't think he really probably had been pressured like that before. He's a lot of people on that ridge. I know two of the guys that talked to me after I had killed the deer had sent me game camera pictures. They had a bunch of ladder stands set up in there, and they were both saying how they weren't in there that day because they had a wrong wind.
Yeah.
On the day I killed him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it just goes to show you
Yeah.
we don't think about much.
Yeah.
We're just going.
Yeah.
We're just doing it.
Just
So,
go.
We're just doing it. So.
Yeah. It's funny, like that comes up a lot too, is people have been getting their big bucks on days where the wind is supposedly the wrong wind, right? Pat Burns' deer this year too. He went in there and it was the worst wind possible for the stand location that he's at. And in previous years, he wouldn't go in and hunt it on that day.
Yep.
But this year, he was like, I need to kill him this year. I need to get really aggressive, and every day I'm going to be in that area. But he would have stayed out in previous years. He went in on the worst wind and killed him on the worst wind. The first time he ever saw the buck was on the worst wind.
how many times do you think people walked into those stands and walked over that buck's fresh track
Yeah, oh, yeah.
that don't track? So
Yeah.
they probably walked right over it and walked right into their stand that buck already went through.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely
Just the way it
tracking is
works,
super
yeah.
aggressive, especially in areas like that where we're not used to it.
You guys got the deer bug, got bit by that early on, right? Real early. I mean, I always had it too. But like I've told you guys earlier, and people on the podcast have probably heard it ad nauseum, but my bug early on was the tradition of going to deer camp, and I wouldn't miss any of the 5 weekends, 3 weekends in rifle and 2 in muzzleloader in Vermont. I was there and I was hunting hard, but I never scouted, didn't think about deer all the time. But you guys got that bug early on, huh? You guys are what? You're 26, and Nate, how old are you? Same.
Yep, same.
And when did you guys start and really get into it?
Oh, probably 2017 was the first year we started really hitting it hard, and we were hunting the high peaks in the Adirondacks. I don't know why we started over there, but that's just where we ended up that year. And we had a tough time over there. You saw a couple bucks, and I saw a bunch of deer. I messed up on a couple big bucks, but I think the reason why we got so comfortable with really branching out from Vermont is just because Vermont is a really tough state to hunt. It's super tough to find big deer.
Yeah.
So we got really into just traveling around and, day trips basically. We'd always end up, even if we were driving 2.5 hours, we were still going home at night. So it's relatively cheap.
Yeah.
But we were finding good deer within 3 hours of our front door.
Right. We've never seen before.
Sign we've never seen before in neighboring states. Vermont's tough. There's nothing like the greens. Like if you want to challenge, go try to pull a big buck out of the Green Mountain National Forest. That is a challenge.
I'd love to see a hunting public public land challenge in the Green Mountain National Forest.
It would be boring. It would be real boring to watch, because let me tell you.
Yeah, they better do it during rifle season and carry guns.
Yeah.
Right?
I think they'd find them eventually. I think those guys are
I think you
pretty
definitely
serious.
need time, though.
Yeah, you need
to
time.
find a good buck.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you guys, you guys hunting buddies, what are your differences and similarities in hunting and your styles?
What do you think, Nate? I think we're pretty similar.
Yeah, probably.
I think you might
bow hunting, the only difference is I shoot a lot of mine just walking on the ground.
Really?
Yeah.
I shot that buck in New Hampshire this year walking.
Nice. Still hunting? Yeah.
Yep, that's how I've shot them all but 2, I guess, with a bow.
What was the conditions like? Was it quiet? Or?
No,
It was a loud
not
one.
really. It was loud. I set up on a pretty much right over a river, brook. There's a ton of sign in there. We went in there early. When was that? When you first brought me in there?
In the month or in
Yeah, the month.
September 15th?
Yeah,
is
we
when I
went in
opened,
there.
yeah.
And I never went in there before, but we started walking out through. I found a rub, and I was like, well, I'll be here because that's the first time I've seen
First sign you saw?
right
Yeah.
rubs in September, and it was fresh. Walk in there, there's hundreds of them. So I set up, and
I had a camera in that area, and I hadn't checked it since turkey season. I set it up, and I had just like, I think it was like 9 different bucks on camera, like a 140, like was the biggest one, just a big 9-pointer, and then I had an 8-pointer the one you ended up shooting, and then just all these bucks. But it was like 2 different bachelor groups of bucks that were just like in these cuts. It was
different
sweet.
age groups, because sometimes you see
Oh,
like
yeah.
the younger bachelor
right
group
from
and then
what
the older one.
probably 2.5 right up to 4.5, 5 probably.
Yeah, but you're right. There was like an older bachelor group, and it was funny. Those ones were a little more spread out. Like I'd get one picture of one, and then like 10 minutes later I'd
2
get
to
another
10
one.
minutes, yeah.
And but then the younger bucks, they'd all be like on top of each other.
Yeah.
But it's funny too. No does in September in there. None. No pictures.
I never
of them.
saw one in there.
No, not. And then I wouldn't get any
Interesting.
pictures of them until after the bucks split.
It's just not where the does were holing up, and September they were somewhere else.
Yep.
They're kind of separating at that point. It's like the bucks and the does are starting to feel like, all right, the rut's coming.
Right.
So you set up, you walked in on the ground, but you said you set up. So
Yep,
did
I
you
set
stop
up.
and like you sit
Well,
next
I
to a
sat
tree, or
up.
what happened?
No, I hung a hang-on stand and some sticks. Sat in that for a while. Isaac called me, said he was going to get up and walk around a little bit. I said, perfect. So I picked my stand up. Well, before that, I heard up above me, I thought I heard something walk through the brook, but I wasn't sure. So I packed up my stand, walked up the brook, big rub line all the way up through there, and I see in the sand there's a wet buck track, and it's heading right up into a cut. So I headed up into the cut, and I saw a knob right there, and I was like, yep, that buck's probably bedded right there. I'm gonna walk up, jump him up. He's gonna run and stop and look back, and that's exactly what he did, and I got shot off at him. But I shot him as he jumped, because I hit him in the hock, and me and Isaac tracked him for 3 miles. Ended up shooting him like 2 more times.
It was a
Really?
wild
Yeah,
goose chase.
he went up over the mountain and
Wow.
back down over the other side.
Wow. How big was that one?
What?
He was like
Probably 100 inches.
110 inches.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yep.
He weighed
8-pointer,
165.
yeah.
Sweet.
Good buck.
Awesome.
Solid 3-year-old
Yeah.
probably.
And it was in
Yeah.
September you guys were there?
Yep.
Yeah, that's
I think
great.
you killed him on September 22. I want to
Yep.
say. It was a good day.
That's great. You get one early.
Yeah,
Nice
it
one.
was nice. He saw him the day before? Weekend before.
Yeah, I had him at 100 yards. He went by. I had passed on 2 smaller bucks that morning, but I figured one of the bigger ones at least was right there somewhere, and that's why I didn't shoot one of the smaller bucks. I would have been more apt to shoot one of the smaller bucks if it was like late October or something, but because you get 2 bow tags in New Hampshire if you buy them.
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, potentially you can
Nice.
shoot 3 bucks in
Yep.
New Hampshire.
Yep.
But
That's what Timmy did last year.
yeah. So I was, but being early season, all bachelor group up, that's why I was holding off on those smaller ones. Ended up seeing the bigger one go through, but then you ended up killing them the weekend after, so it worked out.
See, it's funny. I thought you guys just tracked, and that's basically what you did and gun hunted. But it's nice to know that you guys are bow hunting too and extending your season. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
obviously,
As much as you can get.
You
in the
guys are
season.
addicted.
Yep.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, it's pretty much every day. Yeah, we're thinking about it every day. Every day we can be, we're in the woods.
Yep.
But it's a lot of fun. I know
So after that one, what happened the rest of the season there? What was the next action? Was it your one in Mass, or did you guys?
Well,
get
we had
anything in
muzzleloader there. I missed a buck out of the same bed. I shot that
in
buck.
that cut?
Yeah.
Same bed.
Same exact bed.
Same
Yep.
spot.
Huh.
I went through that cut. The wind was wrong. Went through that cut and went up on the mountains and came back down through at the end of the day after me and him were on top of the mountains the whole day and saw where a buck crossed the road we walked in on. So we went back in the next day and I told him, I said, if the buck crossed that road again, he's probably going to be back in that bed.
Was there snow in there or no?
No.
You
No
just
snow.
saw a dry track or in the mud or something where he crossed the road?
Yeah, he crossed it was like a gravel road that we walked up in. So we headed back up in there. He cut up above me. I went up in there and stood up on a stump. He called me, asked me where I was, and I told him, hung up. I'm standing on a stump. I look over to my left, and there's that buck standing up out of his bed. Missed him. Shot right over him. Must
The
be.
Woodman misses?
Yep.
I didn't know the Woodman misses.
Woodman doesn't, but I do.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah, and then I ended up giving a pretty good buck a haircut rifle season in Vermont.
Yep.
After that was a couple weeks after
Yep,
that.
That was a big one.
That was a really big one. I think he was around a 200-pound mark.
Yeah.
Which sucks. The funny story is I had that buck last year at 10 yards. All I had was from his eyeballs up. Last
all you
Friday,
could see.
last Friday, a muzzleloader, almost same spot, high on this mountain, and I didn't shoot him because I mean he was, maybe if it was like a absolute slammer, I would have tried to shoot him between the eyes, but he was just a 6-pointer, like 14 inches wide, with no brows, and I was like, I'm not gonna shoot him between the eyes, and he winded me. I was tracking him that day too, and he winded me and ran down off the side of the hill, and then I never caught up to him again. But then this year, I ended up searching all day for a track on fresh snow, cutting his track with a doe in a little swamp on top of the mountain, and he was right there, and I caught him digging a fern, and he was facing me. So I had my peep sight, and I put the bead right between his front shoulder blades, he has head down digging.
Yeah.
And I touched it off, and he humped up and ran, but all I had was a big tuft of hair. And the only thing I can think is I just sent one right down the side of him and just gave him a racing stripe because in hindsight's 20/20 too, because if I would have just waited there for like a half an hour after I shot, I think he would have come back looking for that doe. But I guess, it's learning experience for sure. Number one, don't shoot at a buck facing you with his head down with a peep sight because that's not a very good shot. But it's like when you get a buck in front of you in the mountains, it doesn't happen often. I've learned you got to
take shots.
You got to take a shot. Because if you don't, you're not going to get them. But with the peep sight's different. It's
How far was he?
35, 40 yards.
Would have beat yourself up if you didn't shoot.
Right, and I have that videos on YouTube of shooting at him, but all the trees were covered and all the branches were hung down, all covered in snow. So I only had one window. I was pretty lucky I even caught him like I did, but so I mean, he could have taken 2 steps to the right, 2 steps to the left, and he would have been gone, but.
And then Massachusetts was the next big action for the year.
Yeah.
Well, Maine first.
Oh yeah,
Went
Maine.
to Maine.
Yep.
What happened up there?
I had the last Saturday of rifle season. I cut a big buck track out of the middle of a road up there, just one of those. I don't even know what you call them roads. What are they called?
Tote roads.
Yeah.
Tote roads, whatever. And he was with a bunch of does, and he was just down in this big bog doing this, just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I had my buddy Gilly behind me filming, and he was just doing we were probably like 4 or 5 miles on him, and then he started to feed, and he broke off from a bunch of does.
Yeah.
And once he started to feed, it was pretty lucky. The wind picked up. It was perfect. I was like, man, we're going to kill this deer. I'm like, dude, I remember telling Gilly, I bet you this thing weighs like between 240 and 260 because there's a big track, and we're north of Moosehead Lake, so we're up in where the big ones are. I'm like, man, this thing is a freaking hog, 4-finger, humdinger track, everything. And wind's blowing, everything's perfect, snow falling out of the trees, and I'm creeping along, death creep. He's feeding. I look to my right, and I catch him bedded 30 yards to my right. It's completely covered in snow. And I'm like, Gilly, there he is. And so I turn like nice and slow, and I get the crosshairs on him right behind the shoulder, and safety's off. The track was headed out in front of us, and he was bedded to our right, like 90 degrees to our right. And Gilly's like, why aren't you shooting? I was like, I can't see his head. I'm not going to shoot until I see that it's a buck, you know? And I started to like lean over to try, because his head was like behind a white birch tree. And when I was like halfway leaned over, he must have winded us, and he was like gone. Just
Ghosted out of there.
Gone, man. And then for the rest of the day, a bunch of people have told me they think it was probably a pretty big one. He would feed with the wind at his back.
Yeah.
And he'd let us get 100 yards away or so in that bog that he was running does around. He'd blow at us once, and then he'd do it again. He'd run 100, 200 yards, and he'd start feeding again with the wind at his back. And we did that. We did that for like 3 hours. We tried cutting loops on him. Like it didn't work out. But
he wasn't really afraid of it. He had it all figured out.
Yeah, he was a smart one. Big buck. Yep.
And then the Massachusetts buck, right?
Yeah.
So what happened with that deer? You guys had a bunch of guys with you that day, right?
Yeah, it was me.
New Year's Eve.
No, actually, it was Christmas Eve.
Oh, Christmas Eve. Okay.
Yep. And it was gonna be the last day I could hunt.
Yeah.
I ended up getting one more day afterwards, but it was Nate, Connor Schlong, and myself.
Yep.
Went down, hit an area up that we had never been to, did a loop. All of us did probably 2 miles or so each, and we didn't cut any tracks, no buck sign, no acorns, nothing. We regrouped probably like 9 o'clock. Kind of made a ballsy decision, decided to drive like an hour south to an area that we had never been into. And we just kind of, on our way driving down, we picked a spot on Onyx, and we just
went there.
We just went there. And we parked the truck. We went. Nate cut up in first. Connor second. I kept going out the ridge. I cut up on the ridge, jumped a pile of deer. I go and investigate because there had been no tracks really made through the night because
they're all fresh up.
we had snow that night, which was another thing I didn't say. It was kind of a fluke snow.
Yeah,
we weren't really planning on having snow. And when I was looking at the tracks of the deer that I jumped, it was kind of crunchy that day too. It was like 2 or 3 inches of crusty, frozen snow. It was kind of wet snow, and then it got cold, if that makes any sense. And I was looking around at the tracks, and I decided there's like 3 does with a pretty good buck. But down there, it's kind of hard to tell because they just don't have big feet for some reason. In the Berkshires, that's just the way they are, as genetics or whatnot. And but I decided one of them was a pretty good buck, and the does took off north, and he cut south. And that was like the first thing that I really kind of figured, okay, this is a pretty good one, because
you like when you see them separate.
Yeah.
Well, before even that, I cut up first. I cut his track and a couple does.
The old ones.
I texted. It was from that morning.
Yep.
I texted Connor and you, said there's deer in here. Connor's like, yeah, I just walked over some tracks. I was like, yep, Isaac's not gonna walk over those. So I just backtracked that buck as far as I could up the ridge.
Yeah, and that was a fun. So that buck was in a lot of trouble that day because I started following. Well, after I jumped the deer, I decided big buck, 3 does. I was gonna wait a while, so I followed the 3 does for a little bit just to give the buck time. I can't sit around for nothing.
Yeah.
So what I'll do if I jump a buck is I'll either like try to do like a big swing, or I'll go like check out something else. I can't just wait. Yeah. I can't sit still. So I followed the does for a little bit, checked out some country, and then like it was probably like 45 minutes, an hour later, I came back, got on the buck track. He was settled down by then. I figured start going on him, and I was dropping pins to Nate in the direction that I was headed, and I was setting him up in front of me basically.
Right.
And I had Connor on top of the ridge. I was telling him, okay, this is where I'm headed. Buck track.
In case you push them up.
Push them up.
Usually they go right back on their back track when they come up ridge, so I got as high as I could. And
right. So the buck was in trouble. If I didn't get him, he would have been. But so I was going on him, and I get up onto a big saddle, and I've been grunting the whole way because it's loud. I'm not trying to be quiet at all. I'm just crunching along, hitting the grunt tube every like 4 or 5 steps. And I remember I was just going along, hitting the grunt tube. I hear stick snap, look up, and I just see bone coming through the beaches.
This is all on his YouTube page, so if you guys haven't seen it, you got to go check this
video out. At that point, I clicked the GoPro on, and he runs, or not runs, like fast walk, quartering to me, like back to me, 30 yards. I stop him, shoot him. But it was interesting. And one thing I'm not really positive about is I'm not sure if I grunted him back or if he was headed back for the does. That's one thing I'll never know.
Yeah.
I'd like to say that I grunted him back, but
yeah, because when I came, you were only quarter mile from me.
And he was
where
headed.
I was sitting.
He was headed right for Nate. So.
And when I came down, I saw where that buck went up the knob, turned right around on that knob, stopped, and came right back down. So I'm assuming grunted him back.
Yeah.
So when you're like putting pins out in front and communicating to these guys to get there, are you guys like moving fast to get there?
When he shot it or before?
No, like before when he's like, hey, you're already up in that area.
I was already heading up there before he even was on the track because I knew Izaak was not going to walk over that track. So I said, well, my only chance is if one of them two jump it, I'm going to be set up on top.
Where he came from.
Yeah.
And so I did that, and then he was
in case he goes back up there and if he gets jumped.
More than likely they hit their old track and head back up, seems like, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, if you get a couple guys that are good together, you can be super effective tracking. Like, because, quick story, last year in Massachusetts, hunting the big mountain, me and my buddy Gilly, I got on a buck track first thing in the morning, and Gilly was headed out the ridge in front of me. I called him. I said, where are you at? He gave me kind of a general idea, and I'm looking up at the ridge, and I'm like, I'm on a smoking fresh buck track. He's headed right at that flat that you're at. I said, just stay there for 5 minutes. Just wait. I'm going to keep going on this track. He's like, okay, I'll wait. So he sets up next to a big oak. I keep going on the track. 2 minutes later, I hear, boom.
Nice.
He shoots the buck. He's like, but it's if you hunt as a team.
Right.
You can be super effective because he told me 100% he was walking through it. He was headed to the top.
Yep.
And, if I didn't relay that information to him, we wouldn't have killed the buck. But, and just like the mass buck I got this year, if I didn't grunt him back, you would have killed that buck. I mean, it's...
Seen him probably at least.
Yeah, we don't really care who kills the buck. We just want to kill the buck.
Yeah.
And the only reason he was sending me pins is because I wanted to know how close he was getting to me.
Right.
Because I knew that buck was in between me and him. So I didn't want to move, even though I was sitting up there freezing, waiting for him. So that's the only reason I had him keep sending me pins.
Hunting as a team is so fun.
It's so much fun.
I wanted to know how close that deer was to both of us.
Some days we split off. Some days, we'll go one ridge and, other go another. But
right. Till we find something at least.
Yeah, but we always seem to do really well hunting as a team, and we usually kill them. So
Yep.
You guys got some killers on your team too.
Yeah.
You guys are both really good hunters, and Connor's a great hunter.
Yeah, he's
who else are you guys hunting with?
Gilly.
Yep.
His name's Wyatt Gilman.
Yep.
He kind of flies under the radar, but he's a big buck killer for sure.
Mm-hmm.
He's killed some really good ones.
And then you guys are getting tied in with Adam Lamson. How'd you guys meet Adam? And Stagger, it's a new brand coming out in July. It's a Vermont brand. I posted about them. They gave me some gloves. They're awesome. Mm-hmm. And be on the lookout for some really good stuff from them. But how'd you guys get hooked up with Adam?
So he reached out to me in September, kind of like with the idea that he had with the gloves and the coats and everything he's going to be doing. And just bouncing ideas off me and stuff. And we kind of had some mutual friends, too. So we, in a roundabout way, kind of knew each other,
Oh, yeah. But, and the hunting community is so small world.
But, no, he's wicked smart about what he's doing. And his stuff is going to be... All of his gear, basically, is going to be for sale by August, is what he told me, so...
Probably by hunt stock. I
By
bet, yeah.
by hunt stock. Yeah, so pretty. I'm looking forward to it. His stuff's gonna be pretty cool.
It looks awesome so
Yep.
far. And,
Wool.
Cool brand, and
Yeah.
the wool, and it's built for Northeastern hunters. And
Yep, and he's putting a lot of thought into his, his jackets, like the different pockets and stuff that he's doing are very unique. The gloves, like you felt, they're unique.
Yeah.
They're definitely well thought out, and he's got some ideas with some packs, some backpacks and stuff that are going to be next level.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say anything until they come, but just
yeah.
trust me, he's
Gonna be awesome.
They're going to be some pretty sweet stuff he's coming out with, so be on the lookout.
Yeah.
Look out for that.
Sweet.
Yeah.
This morning was awesome. Like you're saying, it doesn't matter who kills the deer. Everyone's excited. And the same thing with sheds. If somebody finds a shed, you hear a
Everybody comes
holler.
run over and looks.
These guys came down. I'm like, man, I hope they don't come all the way down here. We don't get any sheds. Because I'm not a good shed hunter. I think I've only ever found one shed in a day. It's been my best day. I never found multiples.
Yeah.
But Isaac found the first one today. One of these two, this big 6-pointer here.
Yep.
Pretty early on, so we had it. We had some momentum early on. It was exciting, and then you found the match 10 minutes later.
Yeah, I was jacked when I found that first one. I was so excited. Yeah. I was screaming. I would hope some hikers probably heard me in there. I don't know what they thought.
The only match of the day too. The first two.
Yeah, and you found that. That's a stud right there.
That one was great. Yeah,
he's got to be a 130s.
I was taking a pee. I didn't even know. I just got to a nice lookout on this ridge. It's like, oh, good spot for a pee. And it was laying there 10 yards away from me. And it was just like, damn.
That's a good one.
That's nice.
Yep. Gotta go back and find the other one now.
Gotta try to find the other one. Yep. We put on, I don't know, how many miles. Our phones say 12, 13. We probably did 15.
Yeah. It was a good day. The legs feel good.
Pretty wiped out.
Yep.
Drank quite a few beers before this one.
Yeah.
Had to wait for the kid to go to sleep.
Yep.
And, but, man, great year for you guys this year. But previous years, you've had good years, too. I mean, the last pretty much every year since you guys have been hunting hard since 2017 had really good years, right?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, we've had some really good years.
What was last year like 2020?
2020, I got my first Maine buck.
Yeah. What was that like?
That was fun. That was the last day buck up there for rifle season.
Yeah.
Yep. Hunted
Tracking?
Hunted up there all week and went into a spot that me and Isaac hunted the year before. He missed a big buck in there. So I went in there and with me and my buddy and we split up and I took a left and he took a right and I hit the track, buck track on a bunch of doe tracks, headed into a swamp. And I was like, well, I don't really want to go in there, but I will if I have to. I look over and I found a huge spruce rub. So I walked over to there and there's his track coming out. So I'm like, well, that's nice. So my buddy yells to me on the radio and I'm following that deer track out through there. It's pretty thick and then it opens up to a big cut. He says something on the radio and I hear hooves hitting the ground out in front of me. They were only like 30 yards in front of me. That's how thick it was. So I ran out to that cut, and there's 3 does going across, and that buck's probably, I don't know, probably 100, 200 yards out running straight away from me. So I shot him 3 times, I think, 3 times.
Dumped the old clip.
200 yards?
Yeah, with
the peep sight.
Yeah.
And then tracked him for a mile.
How many times you hit him? All 3?
I hit him twice out of that round.
Yeah.
We tracked him again. My buddy shot him once, and then I think I shot him 3 times. 3 times in the back end.
He had a bad day.
Yeah, he had a real bad day.
Lead poisoning.
Yeah.
How big was he?
Weighed 180 on the dot.
Oh, wow. Last day buck, too.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, nice rack.
He was rutted right out. Yep.
Sweet, man.
Yep, he was a good one.
Awesome. And that was tracking.
Yep.
And what,
I got one in New Hampshire last year.
Yep.
Tracking.
That was early.
Oh, that one's on
was a
YouTube too,
giant,
right?
yep.
Yeah, it is. That was November 3rd. That was a buck that I had kind of scouted out in the summertime. It's funny, Nate can tell you that I did do this. We were scouting.
Me, you and Connor.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. It was like probably, July?
Yeah.
I pointed up at the ridge that we were scouting just to, I was like, I'm going to kill a big buck up there this year. And I ended up doing it. But so it was cool to.
Sick.
Yeah, it was cool. But
we didn't even scout it that day.
No.
We just ended up going back.
We just wanted to put eyes on it pretty much. It was kind of an area that I had found on Google Earth, and it had similar traits to an area that I really like to hunt in Vermont. Just a big bowl, hardwood bowl, back in a long ways with a bunch of ravines and stuff. It just seems like just produces big deer. And so we ended up scouting it later that summer.
Yep.
I put a camera up, ended up getting a bunch of pictures of the bucks, or the buck that I ended up killing, a bunch of other bucks too, but just went in there. It was a Tuesday, November 3rd. That Monday I was at work, checked my weather app on my phone. It said we were going to get snow the following day. I called my boss up. I was like, we're going to get snow in the White Mountains tomorrow. Do you think I can have the day? And he's like, yeah, go for it. Yeah. So we headed over the next day, got there at daylight, headed up on the mountain, cut the track at about 9 o'clock, and I ended up jumping him around noon, cut a loop on him, shooting him head on at 10 yards in the spruces. It was, it was wild. And then, yeah. I wish I had the initial action on camera, but I was still, the whole filming thing is
Stuff.
It's tough, and it's a lot of, I don't know what the word is. I want confidence, I guess, to have the camera on your head all the time, because it's like commitment. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. But after that one, that's when I really started just wearing the dang thing on my head all the time, because it's.
He used to shoot stuff all the time, and I'd be like, "You turn the camera on."
It was in my pack.
Didn't even put it on my head. I was like, man.
But we're getting better at it. Yeah. It's we're learning.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, it's one of those things, man. Like I was gonna bring that camera out this year and set it up on a camera arm, and it was so much of a hassle. So
yeah.
I just started bringing this out and attaching it to my bow with a little squid grip, and works out fine. I like it, keeping it simple.
Yeah,
so
sure.
the GoPro's simple. Just
one
button, you're good.
The new ones are nice. They work good.
Yeah, they do. Like we have them on. I don't think a lot of people know this, but quick capture mode on the GoPro, you can just, it's in settings. You can just put it in quick capture, and it can be off, like dead off. You click the one button and it'll turn on start recording within like a second.
Yeah.
And then you click it again, stops recording, turns off. That's one thing that I wish I knew.
They definitely made that for hunters, I bet.
Seems like it. Yeah. It's a pretty cool feature, because, before I was like, hold the side button 2 seconds and click the top button.
Too long to wait on a deer.
Too long.
Yeah. What do you guys do? Because you travel so much, like how do you find a new place to go? Like what are you looking for on mapping or digital scouting before you go into a spot?
Usually big.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what we do. We kind of live by it, die by it type deal. And
the biggest country
something
you can find
that looks like
roads.
Nobody else is going to go.
That's it. We're just trying to get away from people.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Always. It just always seems like you, and Nate loves it, but I usually pick the nastiest looking mountains that we can find.
Yep.
Anywhere we're at.
Is that why you guys are going to conquer Hockomock Swamp?
That's right. Be on the lookout for the Hockomock series that's going to be on YouTube this summer. It's going to be wild.
All you guys that hunt Hockomock, don't get pissed that I brought that up. I don't hunt it. I heard people are afraid to go in there. I was telling these guys about it.
We're not afraid. We're not afraid.
They're going to go in deep, maybe.
We're going to go in deep. We're going to
maybe get lost.
Yeah, get lost out there. Who knows? Maybe get abducted by aliens.
Or Indians.
Indians.
What's worse? Indians or aliens?
Indian aliens.
That could be worse.
Boom.
I'll probably fit in with the Indians, so I'm not too scared.
I got some Indian blood in me, too. So.
No, it's a big, nasty swamp, 16,000 acres. Lots of, cool, like we were saying, there's, it's supposed to be haunted. People go in, never come out type shit. But big bucks. Heard there's big bucks.
That's what we're looking for.
Could get lost in there.
It's worth a chance.
Yeah, it's worth a chance. Yeah.
Could get lost anywhere, right?
That's true. Yeah. No big mountains to find a way out there, though.
Yeah, the old landmarks are few and far between.
Yeah, in a big swamp like that. Yeah. Yep.
So, you guys are gonna get one with a bow next year in Massachusetts. You told me this year. You told me today.
Yep.
You're gonna get one tracking.
I hope so.
If we get snow.
That was our big thing this year. Snow.
No good snow, really.
I had
couple days,
literally 2 days on good snow.
Yeah, snow didn't come till late this year.
All the days that I had tracking was on crappy snow, which I do it, but
How much snow was for the buck that you got in Mass? How much snow was on the ground? Not much, right?
2 inches
It was
of
pretty
frost.
patchy.
2 inches of crap.
It was patchy a little bit too, right? Or
Not where we were.
No, it was covered.
It was
where we
covered,
were, yeah.
but it was crap. It was every step, That's why you just better off not even trying to be
quiet.
You might as well just run
No
along.
sense in it. Yeah.
Just walk. Keep your head up. They'll look at you for a while.
Yep.
But
Better than not going.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think a lot of people, it deters them. Crunchy snow, they stay at home. It's like,
Yep.
man, they walk around in the crunchy snow.
I love bad weather too. I just
Yeah,
love
for
bad
sure.
weather. If it's a bad
Rainy
weather
days,
day,
yeah.
rainy day is my favorite.
Rainy days with the bow.
Yeah.
Those are good days.
Yep. That second buck I got this year was a rainy day with the bow on the ground, and the first buck was the day after a bunch of rain. It was the morning after, so it was
I think
quiet.
that deters a lot of people though too because of blood.
Yeah.
But
Well,
we're pretty confident in our tracking skills.
Mm-hmm.
hunting in a downpour is a little bit different, but
Right.
downpour would be tough. I would probably still go,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
but only shoot if the deer's like 20 yards broadside.
Yeah.
I know I'm 100% confident. But
That one,
Yeah.
that one you got this year off the ground.
yeah,
Were you on? I didn't ask you this earlier. Were you on a rock pile or just a big rock?
there was tons of big boulders around.
That looked sweet, man.
A lot of the places we were at today, there's just boulders, and
Right.
there was I was just sneaking up around this boulder pile,
Yep.
and I knew there was bedding on the other side of it because I'd marked it from the year before, and they're looking for sheds. There were a bunch of beds in there, and so I was purposefully trying to sneak around those boulders, and I was gonna sneak into the bedding area, but I stopped and sat in a boulder for a second to pull out on X, make sure I was in the same area, and while I sat there, that buck was coming through. It's kind of like when you
Like
take
you said,
when you
every
take a
time you
little
stop.
break. Yeah, every time you stop,
Yeah.
stop and take a little break, something happens. And with me, it happens a lot. I found that shed just stopping to take a piss, and I can't tell you how many times I've stopped to take a piss in the woods, and while I did that, saw a shed. Or
Bobcat.
saw like a huge rub next to me that I didn't see, or
Yeah,
a big
right.
scrape, or bobcat today.
You gotta
or
piss a little more
deer
often.
walking through.
Start just
Gotta do
drinking
it.
all the
Gotta
time.
do it.
Oh man.
Yeah. But
Yep.
so Vermont though, what's your guys' strategy in Vermont? Because Vermont's just unlike any of the other places. It's harder to find a big buck. You got to go deep. I mean, you guys like the Green Mountains, right? The
Yeah.
Central Spine is the biggest woods in Vermont.
Yep.
What's your strategies there? You guys, when do you go in and hang cameras? Because you guys do use a lot of cameras, right?
Yeah. I run like 20 to 30 every year. A lot of them are in Vermont, but my strategy is just finding big community scrapes.
Making them.
Or making them. Mock scrapes.
That works real good.
Yeah, it does. Just trying to find bigger bucks to hunt is usually the challenge. So, like, what we'll do is we'll have, like, 3 different mountain ranges that we kind of key in on, and usually we only end up hunting one of those 3. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So, I go, like, but we're just looking for that age structure. And it seems like the mountains that we hunt we bounce around just because, we get a couple good ones here, so we move.
More or less too is when we set up the cameras, we don't hunt that deer that year because we don't know. We don't check the camera till
The next year.
This
Yeah,
time
we
of
usually
year
just let
or
him
whatever,
soak. Yeah,
yeah.
we set him up in
So,
August and get him
go
in
in
March.
there. He's going through there. He lives somewhere through there. He probably pick up his track somewhere in there.
That's a good point. Yeah, you put the cameras out, let
Just
them
leave
soak. Because
'em.
when you're up in the big woods, it's not like, oh, let me take a stroll and go check my camera behind the house here. It's
And
gonna
you
take
don't really
you
have
guys.
to worry about anybody shooting them way out there either.
Yeah.
No, yeah, they just
Or
live in.
stealing your camera, any of
Right.
that shit, right?
Yeah.
No, a lot of the bucks that we hunt, like a lot of the biggest ones that I've ever been after, have just disappeared. I die of old age or get killed by a coyote or a lot of the biggest ones I've been after.
It's real rugged country in the spine
Yeah.
of the Green Mountains there, going through there. And
Yep. A lot of country for them to hide.
yeah.
Yep. And, I mean, there's not a lot of them, though. There really isn't.
Yeah.
Not a
No.
lot of big bucks.
Yeah.
No, nothing compared to New Hampshire, Massachusetts. It's like, I bet you one really big mountain maybe has one big buck on it. And that's maybe.
Yeah, you hang a camera in Vermont, you'll get one real good buck on a ridge. Usually, you hang a camera in New
When you go
Hampshire,
back in,
Mass,
yeah.
you get
Like 3 or 4.
Yeah,
Yeah.
3 or 4.
Yeah. Vermont's different. I don't know what it is, but yeah.
It's the old mountains. What was your theory?
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of always had a theory that the Green Mountains are a lot older than the Whites and the Adirondacks.
But that's not a theory, right?
That's not a theory.
Yeah.
The theory is that
Yeah.
the reason why our racks are so much smaller is because our mountains are so much older, so therefore the nutrients in the soil is depleted like thousands of years more than the Whites or the
Or
Adirondacks.
even millions, maybe.
Or millions,
Yeah.
who knows? Yeah, so maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. That's
Yeah.
some kind of just thought up.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
You're not a biologist or a scientist.
no,
or
not yet. Not yet.
A botanist.
Yeah,
Or
nope.
who studies soil? It's got to be something.
Yeah, something like that. But I know the White Mountains are definitely a lot sharper. When you're hunting those mountains, everything's pointy,
Yeah.
steep.
Steeper near the top.
Yeah, in Vermont, everything's kind of rounded off. The rocks are all rounded off, and I mean, there might be something to that.
Yeah.
The Connecticut River seems like the Great Divide, though.
Yeah.
100 inches on the Vermont side, boonies on the New Hampshire side. I really don't get it, but
Is it like that there?
yeah, seriously,
All
yeah.
the way up. Yeah.
Within the 10 miles of the Connecticut River is where a lot of Boone Crockett's have been killed
In New Hampshire.
in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a golden little strip,
Yeah.
and you
But-
go on the Vermont side.
Yeah.
100 inches of super mag. Yeah, so, it's really weird.
That is weird.
It's a
yeah.
trip,
It's probably just the hunter pressure. It has to be. I don't know.
but not even
How
though.
could the soil be that much different on the other side? You know.
Well, the mountains are a lot younger.
Yeah, but the Connecticut River Valley, though, in the valley, I guess once you get into the mountains, yeah.
I don't know, but
Yeah,
you would
it's
think
weird.
it would be a pressure thing, but
You know, you catch a pike on the New Hampshire side too. It's way bigger than
yeah,
the little pike go to the Vermont
Yeah.
side of the river.
yeah, they got bigger ferns and mushrooms over there too. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, it's a whole big mystery.
I don't really think about it too much. I just drive across that river and hunt. I learned that a few years ago.
Be cool to look at the management though over the last 60, 70 years difference between New Hampshire and Vermont.
What is the
See if-
difference? Do you know any differences in the
know.
I
laws?
do.
or-
I do.
What are the differences in the laws?
They have an early muzzleloader season.
Oh yeah, that's true.
That's now though. I
Yeah.
wonder if it's always been.
Well, it's been like that for a while. They have the early muzzleloader season, and that's when they're shooting a lot of their does. That's before the rut. And then, whereas Vermont, now we have an early muzzleloader season, you can shoot does.
Yeah.
Rifle season, then muzzleloader season after rifle
You can
season in
shoot.
December, and you can still shoot does. That makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
None.
Yeah, it should in a 4-day early. You know, just make it a week. Early muzzleloader. and
What are
then-
they
yeah.
thinking? Like, I really don't understand. I think it's money. That's the only thing I can really think of. Because you talk to any guy in Vermont, and you told him, you know, because I think shooting does is good. I shot a doe this year with my muzzleloader, but if we could have a season like New Hampshire before rifle season, to shoot our does before they're bred, because all the energy for the bucks breeding these does
Yeah.
is just wasted when you're shooting these pregnant does after the rut.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just such a waste, I feel like, but I don't know.
Yep. And then you can buy multiple doe tags.
You
so-
can buy up to 4 now.
Yeah.
In
So
our area.
people
yeah.
are probably shooting, say, if they're good, 2 does in an area they hunt all the time,
In the late muzzleloader season,
late or early.
so you're taking out 4 fawns
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
And then what do they get?
plus the 2 does.
What do
so
they
6.
got next year to hunt?
Yeah.
Not much. You do that a couple years in a row, and
Mm-hmm.
plus with coyotes and bears eating fawns,
That's
where are you getting?
We have a bear issue in Rutland County.
It really?
Oh my!
We started seeing more bear around my deer camp just in the last 10 years. They were not there for 20 or 30 years. They're there now.
There's a lot of them around Rutland County, and I mean, I don't think.
Are you seeing them on your cameras?
Oh,
yeah,
we've seen them with our eyeballs.
Yeah.
But I think.
But you get a ton on your cameras too.
And I think a lot of fawns are getting killed by bears.
Yeah.
And I don't think people realize that. I mean, bear meat's delicious. People should hunt them more, I think. But
yeah,
it's good stuff.
They should extend that right through to muzzleloader if they want more bear shot, because
they're out.
People aren't in the woods until rifle season, most people. So you have a better odd of shooting a bear anyway.
Yeah, you can't bait in Vermont for bear, right?
No.
Nope.
Yeah.
You can still run them with hounds as of now. They're trying to shut that down. Which is... I don't even want to go down that road right now. It's illegal in Mass to run them with hounds.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, yeah. A lot of stuff's illegal in Mass.
Vermont's turning into Massachusetts.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, Vermont's even more
the deer.
liberal than Mass in some ways. You know,
you get totally political right
minus the big bucks.
Yeah, minus the big buck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys do any coyote hunting?
When I see
I
them.
see them. Yeah. I've been thinking about getting into it.
Yeah.
Should probably.
Yeah, I hear it's a lot of fun. I don't do it much. There's it's a big contingency down in Massachusetts that goes out and just hunts, just predator hunts.
We got a lot of guys up by us that run them with dogs.
Yeah.
And get them. I think that
And it's
helps.
needed.
Yep.
It's needed. There's a lot of them around.
Yep. But a lot of people don't like them running through their yard or
The dogs.
yeah. stuff like that.
I get woken up here all the time
Yeah.
from just a pack of them. You just hear them, and they're so fucking loud. Right back there, right over there. 3 a.m. There's I got game cameras with packs of 5 sometimes. I think I've seen 6 in one pack before. Yeah, they're all over. We saw some big coyote tracks today too.
We did.
Some of them could have been domestic dogs, but
Right.
off the trail without
Some
any
didn't
human
have
tracks.
any human tracks, around them.
There were some big ones too. They were fresh and they're big.
Oh.
Big old mambo.
Yep.
Like, holy smoke.
How about some of them signposts we saw in that,
Oh my god.
in that second place we went?
Oh my goodness.
This big around.
Yeah, they were like,
Yeah.
I don't even know how, what was that, 2-foot tree?
I'm excited. I put a camera up. I bet most of the bucks have dropped. So when he kicked those 40 deer up, I just saw him going through. I have my binoculars and I'm checking. All the ones in the front were does. I'm checking their heads. They were all just doe. And then that second group went through, and it looked a little bigger. I looked up, and some of them were doe, and then some were smaller bucks. But everything was bald.
Yeah.
All 40 deer were bald, and I bet you had to have been 10 bucks in there.
Yep.
10, 11 bucks in a group of 40.
Right.
And I saw, 4 or 5. I identified their pedicles in there. But that's just fucking, that's what it's like around there.
It's crazy. I've never seen anything like
But I
it.
put cameras up because I'd like to still see, a buck holding, but I'm probably not going to see any bucks holding. I don't know. It just seems like they've all dropped right now. In this area. But on them huge signposts that had been hit in the last few days, because I went in there yesterday and there were fresh shavings on top of the snow. You saw all the footprints where a buck was working it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's at least one in there that's still holding.
I would say,
And they'll hold them for, They say it's all about how healthy the deer is, I guess, and how stressful the rut was.
Yep.
But
Another thing about rubs is that that buck I shot in New Hampshire with a bow, when we were tracking him for 3 miles, he was rubbing trees.
he was rubbing trees while we were
tracking
bud trailing him.
Yeah.
Never
While
seen
he was
that
hit.
before. Yeah.
While he was hit.
Yeah.
So I was saying to Nate, it was either he was mad at us, rubbing. I mean, I wouldn't have believed it unless I seen it, because it was blood to a tree, hooked up, shredded, and then gone. Going on, or I mean, maybe the buck was trying to just act like he was feeling okay. I don't know why he was doing it. He's like, I'll just rub this tree. Trying to fool himself.
Nothing's wrong with me.
Yeah.
we got a lot of flack on that video for chasing that deer like we did with the bows, but we
Wouldn't have got him if he didn't.
I didn't know that's on video too. I got to see that.
A lot of people like that video.
Yeah.
Because it's
Well, we wait a few.
It's real. It's a real scenario.
It's a real
we
one.
wait a little while.
and he's
I hit him
slinging
in the
arrows.
hawk, yeah.
It's a cool video.
And we'd wait, and blood trail would dry up, and we'd start pushing him real hard, and he'd start pumping it out. So we just
Yeah, if you wait too long, they can clot up, too.
Yeah, that's what he was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd find a big spot of clots.
I'm convinced
We
if,
started hammering on him.
if we
as
did
fast
not
as we
push
could.
that deer the way we did, he'd be alive today.
Yeah.
I'm certain of it. He hit him in the hock. There's no artery there. There's no and like when we ended up catching him the last time, he was down in by a brook, and that's what they'll do. If you run them out of blood, they'll get down in, and I don't know how I don't know the science. I'm not a scientist. I've said this before, but they drink water when they get low on blood, and that's how their body whatever blood. But that's what we did. We literally we pushed him right to the edge, and it wasn't pretty, but that's hunting sometimes.
Yep.
And people hated it, but it's like that's what sometimes it's real.
I gotta see that video. Yeah. I'm dying to see that video now.
Yeah.
I like real scenarios like that, man.
Yeah. And we had rain coming
it's
too.
not always a perfect shot right away in the beginning and it's over. And, it's not always hunting.
Yeah. We had rain coming too that day. That was another thing that kind of.
Yep.
And when he was headed uphill the way he was.
But there was tons of blood.
That was it too. So it was tons of blood headed uphill. So
and I wasn't 100% sure where I hit him.
No.
Either. Because I looked for probably an hour before you got there.
But you know what, buddy? He's in your freezer. Yeah. That's all that matters. That's all that matters.
It's like that buck right there. After when I shot him, it was a terrible first shot. Went right through the back of the shoulder, out of the front. No vitals, but it must have clipped some kind of a small artery because he was leaking blood, leaking. It was a thick trail. You saw the video.
Yep.
And I pushed on him it was only like an hour, and I decided I gotta just probably wait a little bit. Waited another hour, went and pushed on it a little bit. Still thick blood trail. I get to a point where I sit down, I wait another hour, and then I get up and I start creeping on the trail again. And that buck, the whole time I sat down for that last hour there, he was only bedded 40 yards from me. I didn't know it. He didn't know it. He was down in this thick, swampy spot, and I was just sitting on a log. We were 40 yards from each other for an hour, and I got up and started going down through and jumped him up out of there. And he stopped. He was so groggy, dude. He stopped. He turned back like this. You can see he's kind of like wobbling, like looking at me so slow, turns back slowly, starts walking away. And I'm like, fuck. You don't want to jump him. He would have died in that bed if I didn't jump him.
Right.
If I just left and came back in, he would have been dead in that bed. So I'm talking with a bunch of people, and they're like, look, there's a couple of things that you can do. You can just keep pushing on him and try to get an arrow on him because he could clot up.
Right.
He could be clot. He jumped out of that bed. Yeah, he might have looked groggy, but he can gain his strength back as long as that blood clots up, and he's just laid in that bed. It could be clotted. Or you can back out and come back in tomorrow and hope that he's, not clotted and he'll be in the next bed dead. But a lot of people were telling me, get on him. Get on him and keep pushing him and keep that blood open.
Right.
And don't let it clot,
Yep.
It's situational.
It's so situational.
Yeah, and it can go either way. It's like you can make the wrong decision, but
If we found his arrow right there or we had some gut residue, we would have backed out and gave him a night.
Yeah.
But we knew that buck wasn't hit that bad. Going uphill, leaking like he was, you got to read every situation as it comes. But
you're not going to know unless more experience. So.
Yeah, that comes.
Yeah.
We're definitely getting into bow hunting, though, a lot more. I am anyways. Yeah. You've always really been big into bow hunting. I've always scouted more during bow season in Vermont, but this year was the first year we really branched out, started hunting New Hampshire.
Yeah, Vermont is a tough place to bow hunt unless you own a farm or,
Right.
You can, even if you own a farm in Vermont, it's not like owning a farm in Iowa. It's tough bow hunting up there.
Yep.
And it's one thing that I really need to get better at, and I really need to, is doe hunting with a bow. I don't have the mindset for it sometimes, where I'm just trying to, I'm always looking for the big buck. I'm always going to do the, big.
I'm guilty of that. Both these past 2 years, I've passed a bunch of doe.
Yeah.
I went into this year saying I'm going to get a doe early and kill one early with my bow.
Yeah.
I just didn't do it. I had opportunities, and I was just like, there might be
nice
a
to
buck
start
right behind her. I don't want
start
to
out
like
with
mess
something
this
in the
day up.
freezer.
Yeah.
You know? But it's stupid. It's fucking stupid.
Yeah, it is. I'm a
Gotta
meat.
shoot it.
I'm a
Yeah.
meat hunter first.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I'm doing it. Is I love venison. I love filling the freezer. Me and my wife eat 4 deer a year if we have it.
Yep.
So that's why I need to get better at it, because you don't hunt as good for your big buck later in the year if you have an empty freezer.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have that kind of. If I could get better at, maybe shoot a doe with the bow in Vermont and then go over to New Hampshire and shoot a doe, and then I'm set. Then I can go after my big buck and have peace of mind. But
Yeah.
that's one thing I really need to work on.
Take the pressure off, really.
Yeah, for the freezer, man. That's it.
What do you think about those states that have the earn a buck rule? You guys heard of that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
New Jersey,
I
right?
think it's kind of Jersey has it. I think it's kind
It's like,
of
shoot a doe and then you fill
get
a
your
buck
buck
tag.
tag.
in states with bad buck to doe ratios like Vermont. I think that could be a pretty good idea.
It could be.
It would be something that people would hate, but
Absolutely. Like it's funny.
Kill a doe first, early season, have that week-long muzzleloader season, and that's like where most people are out trying to earn their buck.
It doesn't make any sense in the town that I'm from in Vermont. Shooting a doe is total taboo. Total taboo, because they killed off the deer in the 60s, 70s, or maybe it was, I don't know, something like
80s.
that. 80s. They killed the deer off in the 80s, so now everybody...
They had the doe tag and the rifle season
Yep.
in the 80s. And,
Yep, because my dad tells me how when he was a kid, there used to be herds of deer everywhere, hundreds of them. Like the hunting was phenomenal, and then they killed them all off. So now a lot of people around us, shooting does is taboo, but 3-pointers smoke every one of them. It doesn't make any sense. It's like
I'd rather shoot a doe than
I'd rather shoot a doe than a 3-pointer. But see, I think a lot more people are starting to kind of get the concept of deer management. It's working its way east from the west, and it'll get out here, I think.
Yeah, you said like you guys have your own like little pocket where you're choosing to pass on deer and stuff, right? And that's gonna start helping.
Yeah, I think it will, and I think a lot of guys are starting to realize,
because you guys are killers, and if you didn't, you'd be shooting them, and chances are other people aren't going to. Maybe 1 out of every 10 deer you guys pass, another hunter will shoot it, probably.
Right.
In those big woods.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the way it is in that area.
Yeah, and we did when we were younger. We used to kill everything, and we'd see the deer vanish. We shoot them all.
Yeah.
And then we'd start to, kind of think like, man, maybe.
Well, that's probably why we started going to New York.
Yeah, we were shooting them all, and then.
That's why you guys started,
branching out.
hopping around lifestyle,
But we're learning. We're young. We're still figuring it out as we go. We learn every.
Yeah,
I know.
You guys got a lot of hunting ahead of you. I mean, you're not that much. You're 7 years younger than me. So
Right.
You got a lot of hunting ahead of you. I got a lot of hunting ahead of me, but. You guys being, not as tied down as, I am at this point, right? Like, you guys got a lot of free-flowing fucking hunting.
No kids yet.
Yeah.
No kids.
Like, you're going to hammer it the next 5-6 years.
Yep.
Hopefully,
We're gonna go hard.
Hopefully longer than that.
Yeah. I'll probably have a kid here.
Well, you're
soon,
always going to,
but-
no matter what, you're going to be hunting. You're going to hunt hard. But.
Yeah. We go pretty hard. Like, bow season, we were leaving Vermont at 2:30 in the morning, getting to New Hampshire, hunting all day, getting home at 10 p.m., and then doing
Shower,
it again.
cook dinner, go to bed,
then getting up at 2:30 the next morning, doing it all again.
4 hours of sleep, 3 hours of sleep. Jesus.
Head right back over.
We hit it pretty hard, but that's kind of like part of the fun for me.
You guys ought to get a camper.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But I kind of like the grind though.
Yeah.
That's like tracking.
Well, that's why you guys driving down here was really nothing, right?
No, 3 hours was really nothing to us. Like, after the podcast, we'll drive
8 hours
home.
to Maine, so
Yeah. That buck that I tracked in Maine that we talked about earlier, the one on the last day. After that one, got out of the woods, took my woolies off, drove 8.5 hours back to Vermont, got home at 1 a.m, slept for 5 hours, got up, got on a buck, and tracked him all day in Vermont. Almost got him a couple times, but he was a couple steps ahead of me. But I wasn't at full potential, obviously. But that's the kind of stuff we love to do.
You gotta.
Yeah.
The day after I recovered that one, man, I should have been. I wanted to. I had the day off, but I had spent 27 hours, after that deer,
Right.
and dragging it, and I drank a few beers the night I recovered him, and the next morning I was just like, I'm not going out today. I need to rest.
Take a day.
But the stand I was gonna go to, the one that looks like him, I showed you guys that video, the freaking high 130s or 140-inch 8-pointer.
Yep.
He was right there at 7 o'clock in the morning. I could have went back to back with him and one even bigger that looks like him too. But that's the way it goes, and I'm actually happy that he survived. And next year I can hunt him now.
But I bet you next time that happens, you're gonna go.
Probably.
Like now you're gonna go.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You know.
Sometimes I think one thing that I say a lot is once they start dying, they just keep dying. I don't know. It's a confidence thing. I feel like almost because like this year for me, I shot a doe the last Saturday a muzzleloader. Very next day, got a buck with my buddy in New Hampshire or in Vermont. We both shot it. He shot it first though, so it was his buck, and then the muzzleloader buck. So it's like once I got that first one, it was like boom, 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 boom. Like it just started
That's how
coming.
it always works.
It is, yeah.
The momentum for sure.
Yep.
And it's a confidence thing, I think,
It is. Yeah, if you go out and you're second guessing yourself,
Yeah.
not going to be good. Although with that buck, I sat in that stand and I hated it, hated the location because I was trying to get somewhere else, but the sun started coming up and I was like, I need to get into a tree. It was so hard getting in there. I hadn't been in there all year scouting, so I didn't realize how thick it had gotten, and it was super wet. So I was going through knee-high muck and shit. So I was slowed down that day with that one, and I was about 300 yards from where I wanted to get, but it was getting light, and I was like, I just got to get into a tree. I got into the tree with my climber, got up in there, and I just hated it. I was texting him like, dude, this spot, I couldn't get to where I wanted to go. This place sucks.
Yeah.
So I wasn't confident that morning, and sometimes you get lucky.
Yeah.
You walked right by 14 yards, so it ended up being a pretty good spot. It was a transition spot, and there was nothing for him to hang out there. He was heading to bed. There was no food there. There was no bedding there. It was just a transition. So.
But you knew he was around.
I knew he was around, and he was, I was only 300 yards from where I wanted to be, so I was in this general area.
Right.
Yeah.
He's a good buck. It's funny, that 6 that you got there and that big 8, they're a lot bigger in person, I feel like.
Yeah, actually, everybody says that about that 8, like my dad and uncle and stuff who saw pictures of it, and I brought that up to Vermont Deer Camp, and they're like, oh my God. It looks bigger in person.
Yeah, he's
I
just
think
not
they all do, though, really.
Yeah. Some are photogenic, though. Some are
Oh,
not.
Yeah. Well, because people do the...
Oh, yeah,
put it way
like
out
the
in the
fish. Yeah, like the fish
Well,
thing. Hey.
but that's really good pictures, dude.
Yeah,
They're
right.
great pictures. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Get that good
My
picture.
arms aren't long enough. So
Yeah, I got the
can't do
T-Rex
that.
arms.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Good times.
Yep.
Cool, man. Well, I really appreciate you guys coming all the way down. We'll do another one. Hopefully we'll be doing some hunting together.
Yeah, I think
at some point.
Yep.
Maybe we can put together. We're talking about maybe some type of public land challenge with a bunch of our groups.
That would be
Get the groups
sweet.
together. That'd be fun.
It would be.
And go to like a sleeper state. That none of us really have hunted before.
Yep. I think it would make for some good times.
That'd be fun.
Yep.
And the Hockomock Swamp. Tackle the Hockomock.
We're gonna tackle the Hockomock this summer. We're gonna go down on like a 3-digit day.
You're crazy.
We're gonna dive it right
go
in
in
there.
there in the summertime.
Why not?
Yep. Or pick a state and pick a bunch of different pieces of state land and draw them out of a hat.
That would be a good way to do
Yeah,
it. Too.
that would be fun.
Yep.
That would be fun.
That'd be real fun. But thanks for coming down, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having
Yeah,
us.
it's been a long ass day.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yep.
Always.
You guys are used to it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Check out the YouTube page at Izaak Young, right?
Yep.
IZAAKYONG. You got social or no?
Just Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, Facebook and Instagram. But
He's
you'll
on
see,
the YouTube.
You'll see him on Isaac's videos and stuff, and all your stuff's going.
And he's
on
he's
Isaac's
gonna
page.
be filming more next year.
Yep.
Him and Connor are gonna be running their own GoPros.
Yep.
They're gonna be doing it
Just
up.
putting it all on his channel.
They're gonna
Yep.
just be putting it on.
So like kind of like what Mountain Deer style, what they do.
Yep.
They got the whole crew each
Yep.
filming their own stuff.
Yep.
They got a great page too.
They do.
Those guys are so
They do.
good. And you guys are coming to Huntstock.
Yes,
You're gonna
we
have You have a little booth there.
We'll have
display
some heads down
Yep.
there. Yeah, for sure.
Awesome, man. Well, looking forward to it. Again, what an awesome day. You guys were in luck because I'd never had a day like that. Shed
Neither
hunting. So.
way.
I found 3 in my life before I came down here. 3 in my life. I doubled my lifetime shed finds today.
It was awesome, dude.
That's why I was so excited when I found that first one. That was real.
That was so sick, man.
Oh man. Yeah.
Awesome, dude. Thanks for
Cool.
coming.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
Thanks, buddy.